welcome to Aslan Speaks, Episode 8, Psychic Influence. In this episode, I'll be talking about a particular psychic ability. Now, there are many psychic abilities out there, and maybe in the future I will create a video explaining psychic abilities and go on and explain the many psychic abilities. But for now, I'll talk about how by using your mind power or psychic ability of the mind to influence others. So, what is psychic influence? Psychic influence is a person using his or her mind to influence someone else. Yep, using their mind to influence somebody else. I'm teaching you this not so that you're able to manipulate and use it against other people, but so that you're aware of it and so that you can protect yourself against psychic influences. That's right, I'm teaching you so you can be aware of this. Many people are not aware of this. And when I started my path of self-mastery and awakening, I started learning about stuff like this. And it opened my eyes to how people try to manipulate and psychic influence people all the time. It's everywhere. Now, there are many people all over the world who don't believe in psychic abilities and think it's a bunch of nonsense. Well, maybe it is and maybe it's not. Maybe it is nonsense. Maybe it's not. Form your own opinion and do your own research. I want to share with you this knowledge of psychic influence so that you're aware of it and realize how it affects you in your daily life. Psychic influence is basically the influence of one mind over another. Let me repeat that. It's the influence of one mind over another. But before I explain what psychic influence is and how to protect yourself against psychic influence, I will share with you this: the power of the human body. Did you know that our brains are like a giant radio antenna? That we send out and receive signals such as brainwaves? Yeah, our mind sends out brainwaves, like signals. They're invisible. And these signals or energy that we project out of our mind is basically brainwaves, and that scientists can even pick up on these brainwaves with special equipment. Just like how the radio picks up on invisible energy signals out of the thin air, I pose the idea that the human brain could do the same thing. I pose the idea that we as humans send out invisible signals from our brain all the time. It's just that most human beings are unaware and are sleeping consciously. Are you awake consciously or are you sleeping? I pose the idea that most human beings are constantly using their ability of psychic influence on one another all the time and are just unaware of it. Ever been to a supermarket and there's that person giving out those free samples, and even though you did not plan on buying that sample, somehow you put it in your cart and you were persuaded to buy it? Ever go to a car dealership and when you went there you planned on just looking at cars and you had no intention on buying a car, but then you go to that dealership and you meet a salesperson, and somehow after talking to that salesperson you end up giving in and driving away with a new car? These are just a few examples of psychic influencing. People who work in sales are good at psychic influence, even though most of them are unaware that they're doing it. In a romantic relationship, there's also a constant battle of psychic influencing. There's a constant battle of the mind or mind power. This happens when a romantic partner convinces you or talks you into doing something that you normally wouldn't do. There's a constant battle, especially in relationships. And usually over time, you'll see the winning person is the one that usually wears the pants in the relationship. They developed their willpower and they used it to influence you. And most people are unaware of it though, especially in relationships. Now, psychic influence can be divided into three general classes. Number one, personal influence, in which the mind of another is directly influenced by induction while he is in the presence of the person influencing. So basically, it's person to person. Number two, distant influencing, in which the psychic induction is directly manifested when the person concerned are distant from one another. And number three, indirect influencing, in which the induction is manifested into the minds of various persons coming in contact with the thought vibration of the person manifesting them, though no attempt is made to directly influence a particular person. Some of the greatest psychic influencers are characters from our history, such as John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson. All these great leaders of men had the ability of psychic influence. They had the ability to manifest their power to a great degree and were able to sway the men according to their will. All great leaders had this ability. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to influence the minds of others. So most people who could reach a great audience to influence others have a strong psychic ability, or not psychic ability, but psychic influence. So how are we able to psychic influence others? We first have to learn three mental conditions. These are mental condition number one, strong desire. Number two, clear visualization. And number three, concentration or concentrated thought. Then a person has to form a clear, positive, and distinct and dynamic mental picture of the ideal or feeling that they wish to induce in the other person. If it is an idea, you should make a strong, clear picture of it in your imagination so as to give it force and a clear outline. Then you direct that mental picture or feeling at the person you want to influence. Remember, my friends, remember this, the three mental conditions. Number one, strong desire. Number two, clear mental picture. And number three, concentrated thought. The greater the degree in which you can manifest these three mental conditions, the greater will be your success in any form of psychic influence, direct or indirect, personal or general, present or distant. But I have to make this clear. Ready? I want to make it clear that a person should only use psychic influencing for positive and good intentions. You should never mess with a person's free will. For if you use your ability to affect others in a negative way or for ill purposes, then the law of karma will come around and affect you tenfold. I am merely telling you about psychic influencing so that you can be aware of it and know when someone is trying to influence you. Another term of psychic influencing is manipulation. As you grow more consciously awake and master your mind, you can be aware at all times when a person is trying to manipulate or psychically influence you. So here's how you defend against psychic influence or psychic influences. Have a strong auric field. Fill your being or yourself with positive thought vibrations. If you're in a very positive state of mind and you don't let nothing affect you and you keep a high vibrational frequency, many psychic influencing or people who try to manipulate doesn't affect you. Also, a good way to protect yourself is be consciously awake. Here's a mental statement for the creation of a strong, positive psychic atmosphere. So say this, ready? Say this, it's like an affirmation. I'm surrounded by an aura of a strong, positive, dynamic thought vibration. These render me positive to other persons and render them negative to me. I am positive of their thought vibrations, but they are negative to mine. They feel the strength of my psychic atmosphere while I easily repel the power of theirs. I dominate the situation and manifest my positive psychic qualities over theirs. My atmosphere creates the vibration of strength and power on all sides of me, which affect others whom I come in contact with. My psychic atmosphere is strong and positive. Let me repeat that. Keep that thought in your mind. My psychic atmosphere is strong and positive. An English physician, Dr. Fothergill by name, wrote a number of years ago about the struggle of wills, as he called it, by which is really a struggle of psychic powers. He says, the conflict of will, the power to command others, has been spoken about frequently. Yet what is the willpower that influences others? What is it that makes us accept and adapt to the advice of one person, while precisely at the same advice from another has been rejected? Yeah, do you ever wonder that? Why some people you listen to and some people you don't? Well, to break this down simply, it's the battle of the minds. The winner is the person who has a stronger willpower and the better disciplined mind. The winner is the person who is more consciously awake. Are you consciously awake? That is why, my friends, it is important to master your mind and your emotions. That is why it's so important to work on self-mastery. There are people out there in the world who know about this information and use it for negative purposes. So it's time for you to awaken. Yes, it is time for you to awaken. Awaken your consciousness. Open up your eyes and truly see. Now, as for myself, when I started working on becoming my greatest self, I started to work on mastering my mind. And once I did this, I noticed that I had the ability to sway people to whatever way I wanted. It was like when I would talk, people would just eat out of my hand. It was just, one, I had really positive thoughts and positive auric field. But I also noticed when people were trying to influence me. Basically, I became aware of psychic influencing. But even though at the time I didn't know what it was called. But I'm a good-hearted person, and I don't use my gifts for bad intentions. I only choose positivity and light. I choose to do good things with my abilities, or I try to be good. You know, my favorite line is the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you want to do unto you. So I always try to do right by people. Now in this video, I just briefly touched upon psychic influence so that you can become aware of it. If you want to learn more about psychic influence and actually have a crash course in psychic influencing or influence, look up a man named William Walker Atkinson. Sorry if I butchered his last name. He has a book called It's called Mind Power, and a lot of the information that I gathered was inspired by this man. So like everywhere you look, there's psychic influencing going on. You know, there's a battle of trying to over your mind. So to point this out, so how do I say this? Television, right? When you pull up the guide on your thing, you look for the programs, you know, TV programs. Well, what is a program? So basically, a TV program is a show that is programming your mind. So what are you allowing to program you? What do you allow into your mind? Be aware of what people are trying to influence you, especially commercials. They're one of the biggest influencers of all. They always are trying to manipulate you to buy their product. Same with people. What are they trying to sell you? What are they trying to manipulate you into doing? Have your willpower, my friends. Now, I don't hold all the answers. It's up to you to do your own research. So do your own research. So, my friends, I'm not an expert. I just want to point this out, that psychic influencing, or people use their mind powers all the time against us. So just be aware. With that, God bless and amen. And if you like this video, like and subscribe. Also, share. Maybe there's somebody out there that could really learn or benefit from this information. Thank you, my friends. God bless.